Good morning, those connected remotely. Doing a sound check. Brian Alston, can you hear me?
Yes, Deb, I can.
Thank
I'd like to call the meeting of the Audit and Compliance Committee this Friday, April the 11th. Can I have a motion to allow Director Kim, is she going to be joining? Okay. Is there any public testimony? First thing we need to do is to call the roll.
Director Kim is absent. Director Ryder?
Here.
Chair Harrington?
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public testimony?
We did not receive any registrations.
Okay. We'll now get a report from Nicole Umro, Chief Corporate Compliance and Privacy Officer, and Ashley Huntington, Privacy Officer. They will review the report, which includes the action items.
Good morning. Nicole O'Meara, Chief Compliance Officer.
Good morning. Ashley Huntington, Privacy Officer.
Okay. Today we'll begin with a privacy update. We'll share some privacy projects that we're working on, along with education that we have provided and will continue to provide, along with a review of our year-end breach reporting. And also looking forward, we'll share our privacy priorities for this year. And then lastly, we have the County Care Compliance, Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Plan to review and request for approval.
Great, thank you. So getting started here, we have an overview of some of our privacy projects that we have been working on and will continue to work on for the remainder of this year and into next. Starting with our Business Associate Agreement template updates, there have been some regulatory updates in the privacy space, so our Business Associate Agreement has been updated to reflect those. And as a reminder, we have Business Associate Agreements with vendors who touch CCH protected health information. This agreement is drafted to ensure protections for that information. We've also made, that's okay. We've also made updates that have been aimed at reviewing some of the template language that is regularly requested during negotiations and red line reviews. So we've taken a look at those commonly requested edits and made updates accordingly to really streamline the process. And then finally, we've provided training on this new Business Associate Agreement and the new provisions to supply chain management. This was in November of 2024. They are one of our first and foremost partners in dealing with the Business Associate Agreement, so it's important that they are aware of the updates and have a chance to ask us any questions about when a Business Associate Agreement is appropriate or not. Moving down to Notice of Privacy Practices updates, similarly with the Business Associate Agreement, there were updates in the privacy regulatory space, so our privacy practices have been updated to reflect that. We are currently working with HIS to do testing and then roll out across the system. Finally, we have an outside access work group. This work group was established because we have seen an increase in outside requesters requesting access to our different systems, which have CCH PHI. This work group reviews those requests, ensure that they are appropriate, and we've also worked with legal to draft an agreement to protect the organization as well as protect our information for those outside requesters who are gaining access. This has tremendously streamlined the process for HEDIS reporting and for other measures. Moving on to compliance education in the privacy space, with all of these updates, we want to ensure that our workforce is appropriately educated. So we have provided updates to our privacy training, our annual module, to make sure that it is modernized, that it accounts for the regulatory updates, and that it also reflects some of the commonly asked questions or commonly asked scenarios that we are presented with. We are rolling this training out in person across the system. We have started with the Core Center in February of 2025, but this will be an ongoing effort, so we are expecting to be training many more locations across the campus, across all of CCH throughout the rest of this year. And the goal here really is to refresh our workforce understanding of the privacy rules. We do provide HIPAA training and HIPAA reminders regularly, but providing a regular refresher to our workforce is a best practice, and it helps us work through real-life examples together.
I have a question. It's
Yes.
about the rules, the HIPAA rules.
Yes.
Have they been updated, or how old are they? Has there been any change?
Yes, so there were updates made to the HIPAA rules with regards to reproductive health information. That was made towards the end of the Biden administration and rolled out around the winter time. So that is something that has been reflected in our business associate agreement as well as our notice of privacy practices. For a long time, the HIPAA rules have been stuck in kind of a proposed rulemaking situation. I recently attended a conference with the Office for Civil Rights, and they've essentially said that this is proposed rulemaking for right now, but they have no timeline for finalization.
Thank you.
And just one more note on this privacy education side, we have seen an increase in contacts and requests for guidance, which we find to be extremely promising because it shows that our staff are thinking about these things before acting and coming to us for guidance. On the compliance side, we are also providing education across the system. This is really a reintroduction to compliance. It gives an overview of our staff to all of the different stakeholders across CCH. We also provide examples of different compliance issues and how to report concerns. We also started here with the Core Center in February of 2025, but same thing. We do intend to roll this out across the entire system, making our way to each of the different departments across the campus, across CCH. The goal here is really to help staff understand how to triage issues, where they should contact compliance, where they may be best able to contact other departments. But at the end of the day, we always emphasize that compliance is a resource for all, so if they can't sort out where they should send an issue, they can always talk with compliance. And same thing, we are focusing on real-life examples here because it really helps our workforce understand the real issues that we're seeing at CCH and how to work through them.
Yeah, how long is the training going to take? Because you're going to move to someone else after that, another group.
Yes, we anticipate doing this for the rest of fiscal 2025, but training and education is an ongoing effort, so this is something that we anticipate having in our work plan really for the rest of time. It is important that as regulations change, as we see issues pop up across the system, that we are reaching out to those different areas to ensure everybody's on the same page.
And who follows the Core Center? Have you picked out an entity that once you complete this?
Oh, who follows the Core Center? We're adding this to our LMS module, so everyone will be taking this training in the fall of 25.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide, thank you. This is a graph of our year-end breach reporting metrics. As a reminder, we are required by regulation to report all of our breaches for a given calendar year. So this shows our breaches since 2016 through present. As a note, these totals do not include breaches that affect 500 or more individuals or breaches that were reported to OCR by a business associate of CCH. The reason for that is because that's within our contract. It's within our business associate agreement to have those business associates report on our behalf. So you can see that we've trended downwards with the number of reportable breaches that we're seeing on an annual basis. We find this extremely encouraging. We do attribute this to ongoing education efforts, the more proactive approach that workforce members are taking by coming to compliance first. So we believe that our training is working. We believe that workforce members are seeing potential breach incidents and stopping them in their tracks by remembering the education that we provide. And then This is looking forward to our fiscal 2025 priorities. So as we've talked about through this presentation, we're going to continue education across the system. We do believe that a multimodal approach is important, so we're looking to provide in-person training across the system, especially at our off-central campus locations, to make sure that we are taking care of those folks, that we're introducing ourselves to them, and that they know that they have a face and a name to come to with compliance issues. But as Nicole stated, we're also putting these modules on the LMS to make them accessible to all of our workforce. We are also providing news blasts, targeted education, and then, of course, anytime regulation changes, we are on top of it, and we're rolling out reminders to the system. Speaking to the Notice of Privacy Practices, because a change has been made to that document and now we're working on implementing it across the system, we do intend to provide education to all clinic managers to ensure the appropriate version is going out at the clinic, and then there will be subsequent reviews with those frontline staff to make sure that the correct forms are being used, as well as the acknowledgement forms. And by the same token, the business associate agreement will have compliance reviews as well, so we're finalizing our audit processes right now, and we plan to begin auditing those as well.
And then lastly, next slide, please. Thank you. We have the review of our county care compliance plan, which includes the fraud, waste, and abuse plan. This plan was not modified at all from the previous year, so we kindly request for approval.
Any questions? No questions. Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the county care compliance program and the county care fraud, waste, and abuse program? So moved. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now we'll have, next we'll have another report. This will be Tom Schroeder, Director of Internal Audit. He'll review two action items: approval of the Internal Audit Strategic Plan, approval of the Internal Audit Charter.
And for the record, Chair Harrington, Director Green is remotely attending. They're not a member. We don't need a motion for it, but just wanted to let the record reflect that.
And it should be recorded as well.
Hey, Tom. Good morning. Good morning. Tom Schrader, Director of Internal Audit. So once a year, we do have an open session with you, and this year we have two items that we're asking you to consider for approval. One would be our Internal Audit Strategic Plan, and the second would be our Internal Audit Charter. And I will note that our Internal Audit Charter is a revision to our last one, so that it's going to look a little bit different, but the concepts are all the same. So if we could jump to the strategic plan, and again, just a little bit of background on this. We had a strategic plan, but as you recall from our last few meetings, the internal audit standards have been updated, and the current standards mandate that internal audit functions have a strategic plan, whereas previously was optional. So we updated our existing strategic plan to reflect more of the new audit standards. So we'll start off a little bit on in the upper left-hand corner. We talk about the mission, and essentially the mission is to be a trusted advisor to our significant stakeholders, and that's the board and that's senior leadership. And at this one, I'm going to move across to the right. So we want to position internal audit as a trusted advisor, and how we aim to do that is to make sure our work aligns with the strategic objectives of the organization, make sure that our work is objective, independent, and independent, and then we have some measures over there. We'll go over our policies with the staff annually, and I am going to need to put some peepers on because even I can't see. Anyway, and the other one is that, in our work papers, we have the auditors at the beginning outline their adherence with independence and objectivity and keeping the information confidential. So that's now embedded in our work papers. So that addresses the mission and the concept of the trusted advisor. So then if we break down to the vision, and again, the vision used to be called, this is a pull right from the internal audit practice standards. There used to be called a definition of internal auditing, and now they've replaced it with a purpose, and the purpose essentially focuses on adding value. And it addresses both assurance and advisory, and again, those are just internal audit words. Assurance, for example, is the items that we address in our internal audit plan. Those are basically, we go in and look to see if things are working as management has intended. And advisory is simply more of, hey, can you guys help us do something? And we'll do both, but the principles apply to both of those. So then, if we go across, again, the second overall goal is to promote risk management, controls, and governance at CCH. And how we would propose to do that is that we have a state-of-the-art charter, which we'll review after this for review and approval. One thing we'd like to do is establish an internal audit intranet site at CCH. Make sure that our staff is completing annual education each year, and most of that is consistent with their various certifications. And then engaging senior leadership in our annual risk assessment and audit planning. And let's see, the last one we have there is, provide a status of our open observations to the leadership team at least 3 times a year and go over those. And again, the metrics for those are all aligned with those. So we'll review the charter annually with the board, as we do every year. We're asking our folks to get 25 hours of CPE every year. Most professional certifications require 40. Some of them allow you to do 80 over 2 years, and however you want to do that. So we want to make sure at least we're getting 25 a year so that we're not just back-ending all the education on that. We want all the senior leaders to have input on our risk assessments, which we do, and then provide that status of our open observations that we're tracking 3 times a year. So jumping down to the third one, addresses continuous improvement in the internal audit function. And the first item there is maintaining an internal audit quality assurance program. And essentially, the metrics that we're suggesting and following here would be reflective of that assurance program. Again, we talked about this at some of our earlier meetings back in January and October of last year about having an external review periodically, and I think we were targeting end of 26, early 27 for that. And that we want everybody on our staff to have one professional certification that's consistent with internal auditing. And let's see, on the measures there. So one of the things we do, again, we're a small department, so I review all the work products that our guys complete, so it's getting good oversight. Let's see. One of the things that we are trying to do, when we first started internal audit, we would send out a paper survey at the end of our reviews, and we didn't have such great response to those. So what we've decided to do is just have those in person. So at the end of each of our projects, I contacted the people that we've primarily worked with in the business unit and just talked to them about, how we did, anything that they might think of for improvements. And that so far has been working very well. We of the 4 projects we've completed this year, we've gotten 3 reviews completed, and 1's on the calendar for next week. So management's been pretty receptive to that, so we appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, again, we talked about an internal quality review. So, for example, when the new standards came out, we reviewed those new standards with our staff. We're updating our staff policies and procedures that we'll go over with our staff every year. Those are the things. And then we'll go over our metrics with the staff as they start to build. Let's see. And then the concept of the external quality assessment, again, in 2 years or so. And again, staff should have at least 1 professional certification that aligns with internal audit. So I think we can go to the next page. There's 2 more elements in the plan. The next one is enhancing the use of technology. And this was an item that was strongly emphasized in the updated internal audit standards. And, this can vary depending on organizations. So you'll get big organizations that have the resources where their organizations have in-house proprietary artificial intelligence. Other organizations have sophisticated internal audit software. We're small. We don't need this. I don't think we need that. And we're not going to, we can use artificial intelligence to some extent to perhaps query things, but we're not going to do anything that would require us to put confidential information out there. So if somebody's starting an audit, we can use ChatGPT, for example, to say, here's what the audit looks like. What would you consider the risks to be? And then we can compare those things to what we thought they were. And so that's more of an enhancement there.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You said we're small. What does small mean?
Oh, staff-wise, yeah. I mean, again, as we talk about our resources, there's 4 of us. You're going to find some internal audit functions that have 100. We're a small team and heavily resourced. So yeah, yeah. with regard to that, and, so the things that we'll focus on, again, in terms of using technology is, using artificial intelligence to the extent that it's consistent with company policies. We do a pretty good job with data analysis, so if we can get data, we can work with it. And then as well, as you see from time to time, we do delve into technology type things, and that will involve reviewing, system architecture and things from that technological perspective. So I think we can build enough there to satisfy that one. And then again, the last one is enhancing stakeholder relations. And again, what we want to do is make sure that everybody has input onto our strategic plan, the leadership team, and they've all had an opportunity to see that. Again, help if managements, and these are on the advisory side, if people have requests for our assistance, if we can do it capably, we will help. Meet quarterly with the Audit and Compliance Committee Chair, which we do before our meetings. Engaging stakeholders on our annual risk assessment and audit planning, and so far we have had 100% participation from the leadership team on that. And then providing the CEO with a bi-monthly internal audit status report, which we have been doing all along. So that's our strategic plan. I think in terms of this, perhaps we review the plan once a year with you guys, and then maybe our metrics twice a year. That's what I was thinking. And that's all I have, unless there's any further questions on the plan.
What constitutes, are there stakeholder groups that you look at, because you are a small team, or?
Right. So again, essentially, I think, it's the board and then the Audit and Compliance Committee. That would be one group. The other group would be the senior leadership team. And then the next group would be operating management. And that's going to vary from time to time because, our different projects are going to point us in different directions. But I would say that those are the three most significant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I see on the front page of the plan that Dr. Makaitis it starts with interim chief executive officer. I think we need to change that.
All right. All right.
Oh, I think that's
duly noted.
Possibly Nicole's item. Is that right?
Okay.
If it's the complaint.
Okay.
I was willing to take the blame.
Okay, well,
All right.
as long as we're on the same page.
You're not in trouble. I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the next item then is that if you recall, every year at this meeting we review our internal audit charter, and the last few years it's just been a refresh of the existing charter. We haven't edited it much in the previous years. And again, with the revised internal audit standards, there has been the Institute of Internal Auditors has put a template out there for people to consider. And basically what it's doing is aligning charters with the revised standards, but I will tell you most, if not all, of the concepts are the same. It's basically been a reshuffling of where these elements show up. So we'll walk through it, and I'll just point out where I think there are changes. Again, the first thing was the purpose. That used to be called the definition, and again, the purpose is emphasizing value and collaboration between the leadership teams and the board. The professional standards, again, we're saying we will comply with the global internal audit standards. We had that in our last charter. Authority, big word, but it's basically saying, hey, people will let us have information and access to the people. Again, no issues there. Independence, again, we shouldn't, and this was in our previous charter, we shouldn't have operating responsibilities, and we don't. And we're free to look at the areas that we want to look at in collaboration and agreement with the various stakeholders that we have. So no changes there. And if we move forward, I'll go a little bit into board oversight. So what they've done with the remaining elements of the charter, and this is really just the things we all do day to day, week to week, month to month, between the internal audit function and the governance function, but they've organized things under the board through the Audit and Compliance Committee, and they've organized the other things under me. So I'll go through the board oversight, but again, each of these elements we're already doing. So periodically discuss the conditions described in the standards, and we've done that in October and January, and we can do that every year as well going forward. Approve the internal audit charter, we do that every year. Approve the internal audit plan, we do that every year. Review the internal audit functions resources, we do that every year. received communications from me regarding the performance of the plan. We do that every meeting. Ensure a quality assurance and improvement program, and again, those would be the metrics that we're outlining in our strategic plan. And whether scope or resource limitations are inappropriate. To date, that's not been an issue, so, but we'll let you know. And again, this is where the next step of the charter talks about the responsibilities for the management of the function. Again, ethics, professionalism, and objectivity. We talked about that in the plan, and this is all embedded formally in our work papers. Managing the day-to-day function, again, this gets back to things that we've already talked about, keeping everybody apprised of what we're working on, providing statuses along those items, whether we make changes to our plan, making sure that we're performing in conformance with the standards. So I think managing the function is essentially there and consistent with previous charters. If we can scroll a little bit more, then I think there's a few more things here. Is there another page maybe? I think maybe we'll skip to the next page there. Yeah. Okay. Communicating with the board and senior management, again, this covers our reports and our periodic discussions with you. That's essentially consistent with previous charters. Quality and assurance program, again, that's consistent with the metrics we're proposing. And then the scopes of our services, again, it gets back to the assurance, the advisory, and governance, risk management, and control. So again, I think everything's conceptually the same. It's just reformatted, but would ask the committee to consider this and perhaps approve this along with the strategic plan. And this should line up nicely with the strategic plan, and it should line up nicely with the standards, the internal audit standards.
And I assume that completes your report.
It does for the open session, yes.
Okay.
If there's questions.
Can I have a motion to approve the internal audit strategic plan and the internal audit charter?
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So we're now at the point where we need to approve the minutes of our January 31st, 2025 Audit and Compliance Committee meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The committee will now be going into closed session. Action pursuant to the following exceptions to the Illinois Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C, 1 and 29. We need a roll call vote.
So, do I need to do something? Yeah, I would make a motion.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And seconded by Chair
Second.
Harrington. Roll call vote on the motion to go into
Sorry, I was
closed
thinking
session.
about the fact we have to clear the room out.
Sorry. It's going to take a while. Aye or nay, Director Kim is absent. Director Ryder
Aye.
and Chair Harrington.
Aye.
You have 2 yeas, 1 absent. So we will go into closed session.
And now we'll be going into closed session.